We will. So for this first draft, it's going to be very interesting to see what the two teams are going to come up with. We know that Eanix love their Scarf comps. They love to play someone like a mage on the back line with maybe a crawl and someone to protect them. And also we know that both teams love to play Lyra. Lyra is pretty much pick/ban for Eanix, and ASN played Lyra in all of the games they played yesterday, all 4 of them. So I think that Lyra is going to be a really strong pickup, and obviously by that being such a high priority, it leaves someone like Catherine open, whereas generally we see just Catherine banned away straight away.
Yep, and one more thing that we must note as well is that ASN Esports, their main lineup wasn't there to play, and they had Zarano to sub in for Chingy in yesterday's matches going up against Impunity. So coming into today, of course, Chingy will be playing now, so we will be expecting a lot of early game aggression coming up from ASN Esports. Of course, we cannot doubt the fact that Eanix, they are a very strong team, and they have got this very signature comp that Iron View Die on that Cruel, and of course trophies on that Scarf. If not, then Celeste. Like you said, Lyra is a priority for both of these teams. So Minnie, what do you think, and how would you think it'll play out between both of these teams, because they look rather even as of now?
I think ASN will really be happy that they've got Chingy back. They've got their main roster together, because you could notice yesterday that the team wasn't quite coordinated. They didn't quite go in together. And Zarano is a fantastic player, but you could see that he just wasn't on the same wavelength as the rest of the team. So I think ASN will be really happy that Chingy is able to play. And we're going to see a lot of early game aggression. If Eanix do manage to get their comfort pick of a Scarf Celeste with someone else, then ASN will be trying to invade that to stop it. We're now going to be into the draft for the first game of the day. So enough speculation. We're going to see what the teams are actually going to do. And we'd expect to see maybe just a straight ban. We're going to ban Baron, yeah. Eanix likes ban Baron, and now ASN have got the choice. Do they go for the Lyra ban or the Catherine ban?
Yep, I mean, both of the captains at this point in time really strong in 2.7. We haven't quite seen a lot of emphasis on that Catherine being picked up in yesterday's game, except for the game where Impunity picked up that Catherine and worked out that amazing rotation that, the casters had a joy to cast for indefinitely. So we are going to see that Catherine being banned out. So once again, Catherine being one of the stronger captain at this point in time. But of course, banning out that Catherine, you will be giving Lyra over to the side of Eanix.
Yeah, Eanix get the Lyra. ASN, they love to play healers. They've even played Lyra and CP Adagio just to get as much heal as possible. So now they're obviously going to pick the Grace. And makes sense, ban the Scarf away from Eanix. I think Eanix are likely to either try and get Celeste or maybe just ban it now, because ASN do like to play Celeste, so ASN are probably going to pick Celeste now, as they're carried first the night away from Eanix, and secondly they do like to play it. The Batiste ban kind of makes sense. He can't be flexed as a captain, so they've already picked Grace. But yeah, I really think it would make good sense for ASN to pick Celeste. They're going to go for Kesha instead. That's a more flexible pick that does leave Eanix free to pick that Celeste Cruel comp, which we saw dominate.
Yep, I mean, Cruel and Celeste at this point in time in 2.7 at least, very, very strong, with Cruel being able to be in the front line, and on top of that, Lyra's Imperial Seizure just to keep Cruel alive for as long as possible. And there you have it. We do see Eanix once again pulling out that Celeste and Cruel combination and topped up with that Lyra. As for the side of ASN Esports, there's a lot of ways to counter this Cruel. One of those is they can pull out that weapon Sky we saw yesterday, but it's definitely not one of the go-tos at this point in time, and because it's still a very niche pickup. We do not quite understand where she is on the current meta, or they can try their best to just work out that weakness stacks from Cruel with say Ozo that can just bounce into the back lines just to take out that Celeste. If not, then Taka. They are going to settle for that Idris.
That was a good work. Well, I think the best choice for them was to go Idris because it was left open. They do put a lot of emphasis on Idris. He's generally banned away when ASN are on the B side, but by leaving it open, that means they could push Kestrel into Crystal Power. And a weapon Idris does great against Celeste. She can't really outpoke him in the early game. He'll just be able to chakram for farm and then be able to stay at close range and just dodge some of those Helios with Shroud Step if it comes to that. I think it just makes sense because obviously once it gets to late game, Eanix would think they have the comp with Celeste and obviously with Crawl, but now ASN have got a Crystal Kestrel. Weapon Idris does it fantastic in the late game. I think ASN are going to have it. So the real win condition for Eanix is in the mid game, around level 8, when Crawl gets us from Hell's Heart up to when Celeste gets her Overdriven Helios. They need to start some fights, win the fights. It will be pretty easy to win at that point, and then start to snowball from there, which they definitely can do.
Yep, but I agree with that. We saw that his play style is very different from a lot of Cruels that we've seen, especially one of the premium example of Cruel would be the one that the column pulled out by 5-0 First Legion, where, you know, Cassandra on that crew was just so very patient and constantly just going up onto that lane to apply pressure, to just gank in that early game, whereas Angry Die on this crew just want to work it out into the late game and do not gank as much as the other crews that we've seen. So this might be advantageous for the side of ASN Esports as they have the greater late game comp.
Yeah, I think Angry Die, his playstyle, as you said, is much more passive generally, but he can, at level 6, he will tend to try and counter lane to gank, try and maybe invade some jungle. So I think Kestrel will be pretty free to farm up early on. Kestrel's not going to get invaded by this Crawl on Angry You Die. And so I think, yeah, Kestrel will be happy. He'll get to level 6, be pretty even. And if Kestrel does come up to lane to gank Celeste before Crawl does, if Kestrel manages to clear the jungle quicker, then ASN could be in a great position with Hell's Heart not even there because Crawl isn't there. So I think that's one thing ASN could also do to stop that. Between level 6 of Crawl and level 8 of Celeste is when Eanix are really in their massive power spike and ASN can't do much to contest it.
Definitely. Let's just see if the side of ASN would be able to hold out till the later game. Although, like you said, Celeste and Cruel in the late game, they have got their equal standings in terms of the amount of damage they can put out as well, of course. But in the early game, of course, we must note, if Angry You Die do roam up into that lane to try ganking, the side of Eanix would have the upper hand because of core collapse, and on top of that as well, the slow coming up from Cruel and the speed boost that Imperial Sigil provides. We constantly talk about the healing and of course the sustain that Imperial Sigil that can provide in that early game going into the mid game, but we do see, however, the side of
ASN are going to go in, yeah, they're going to try and take some farm away. As we said, we know that Angry You Die doesn't like to be aggressive, but Eanix have got their backs, and Celeste sneakily stealing away that front bin from Eanix. And it's very smart that they tried to invade, because as we said, we know Angry You Die doesn't like to. Kestrel's quite strong at level 1 as long as you're not being invaded pod. Lyra not going to steal the sigil away. And yeah, I think interesting we see boots on Trophies and Angry You Die. We're seeing a lot more boots early pickup, and he doesn't know there's a scout trap. Oh, he's not going to pop it, so a nice scout trap from ASM will remain. I think Angry You Die is going to go aggressive. We said we weren't expecting this, but given Kestrel took away some of his jungle, he's clearly angry. Could potentially keep Aeon down, literally forcing Angry You Die to walk in and just walk away. Because there's a Idris, and now he's going to go back to his wave to try and farm up.
Yep, definitely. Early aggression coming out from the side of ASN, although did not quite pull out or pulled off. For them, they did manage to get the Elder Treant. However, Angry You Die did try to counter-rotate into their jungle, not getting much, was forced to back off because Aeon rotated down. Rather weird gameplay coming up from Angry You Die. We can all agree on that because it's not quite expected from him to be this aggressive in that early game, especially since we've seen how he plays. But Chingy, not knowing that Angry You Die is there, might be in a little trouble.
Yeah, that's going to be Shingy trying to run in. Celeste managed to the first blood on Idris in the lane. That was Idris trying to be aggressive. Celeste managed to land a great core collapse. Now Angry You Die in a bad position. Protect contract will be enough to keep him alive. But now, one more basic from Tesla Boy will secure the kill. That will be second blood going over to ASN. And now Trophies is going to push the wave because Idris did fall, but he's back already, so he won't lose much CS at all from that. And Trophies has farted on energy. Tesla Boy wants to stop the port. I think he's not going to go for it. No, that will be Trophies able to port home. And yeah, Angry You Die managed to find out Xingyi, but Xingyi had the boots, could run away, run back towards his grace, and then was okay.
Yep. very good return kill coming up from the side of ASN Esports. So 2 minutes in, we do see that both of this team really understanding how the other team play, and it's quite amazing to watch actually. It's not quite one-sided that we were talking about, and we said that we might see because of just a Cruel pickup and how strong Cruel and Celeste can be, even in that early game. However, if Angry Die just fails to get the early game in the jungle, at least what I hope is to see him going up to lane instead, rather than trying to put pressure onto Chingy, because we did see the rotation, of course, in lane at this point in time, though. A lot of pressure being placed there. Angry will die in that jungle of Chingy, not able to score much once again.
Truffy's great core collapse onto Aeon. He's forced him back under his turret to try and farm up with the Chakram alone. Cool, wanting to rotate up to lane, but that scout trap is still there. He does not know. He thought he just got caught out by a lucky flare, but ASN just know exactly where Cool is whenever he tries to invade the jungle, and he needs to pop that scout trap pretty urgently. To be fair, and Truffy's is in a bad position. Holy Nova does not land. So Shingy unable to land any glimmer shots, and Truffy's will be able to farm up under his turret, and Aeon can rotate down to the jungle shop. Can not quite pick up a Soul Blade yet, so, but he's going to be quite close.
Yep, Truffy's now once again going into Cruel's back to just get that ambient gold, and on top of that, a little more experience, just so he can out level that Aeon on that lane of theirs of ASN at least. But we do see though, Angry Dai opting to go for that early defenses. Granted, he is sitting at yeah, I mean, he's going for that early defenses and not just rushing for that Sorrow Blade, or rather Tension Bow that we often see on Cruel, especially Cassandra's Cruel. So Angry Dai will be popping that Scout Trap now, so very good play. I must say, I mean, with such a stagnated game,
Truffy's going to be almost caught out. Good Imperial Sigil to give him a speed boost away, and a lovely ball walk to stop Idris diving too deep. Now Cool's going to rotate up through the backside. I think he might have spotted out, but he's going to go through his jungle now. Truffy is getting nice and healthy. There's no Iron Guard contract from Mother Monkey, but there's going to be the Protector trying to keep Truffy's alive. Core collapse. We'll start him up. One more basic from anyone. Truffy's would fall, but not quite. Fantastic core collapse by Truffy to save his life. Mother Monkey couldn't quite do enough for the Imperial Sigil. One shot, a good block. It wouldn't have got the kill anyway. I think the turret was in the way. Now Shingy has picked up a Frost Burn. That's good. And Celeste doesn't have a tier 3 item, neither does Cruel. So that's ever so slight advantage for ASN at the moment, and Aeon's going to rotate down, get his Soul Blade. So yeah, this is a really good time for ASN to fight. The 1k gold ahead, but it translates into tier 3 items at this point. So ASN probably going to look for something, either turret pressure or just for a fight. And I think it's interesting Angry Dai's gone for defense. Do you think this is a smart idea?
Well, I guess for the fact that he is not very aggressive in the early game and he's playing very passively, I guess it's a fair item pickup. But Chingy once again putting a lot of pressure in that lane.
Extreme pressure on that. Chingy wants to get Truffy. He's going to back behind the turret. Smart plays. Make sure that the shot can't hit you. And now they're going to push the wave. ASN trying to get this turret, at least get a lot of damage on it. Maybe even putting a kill on someone like Angry Dai. Solar Storm, not doing that much. Aiming for Shingy, but it lands on Tesla instead. Great defense from Eanix. Angry Dai is very low, but the turret is very healthy. And now there's Celeste back in lane. There's some health up. Not going to be blocked. And a core collapse. Where is your block, Shingy? You haven't got one. That's an easy kill for Eanix. That's the CC. This is the level 6 power spike they've got. Rough Monkey with the fountain. Keep himself alive. Very selfish from the captain, but he would have died otherwise, so it makes sense. Kestrel now with the infusion. I think she should have got a block instead, but that's just me. And now Truffy's going to let it down. Good fight for Eanix.
Very good fight indeed with that combo wombo, but Truffy's now. Tazza Boy is looking for a little more. One shot, one kill do come out, but just a little wide. And although we did see that, Chingy, the only reason Chingy quite fell there was because he did not have that reflex block on hand, like that of Angry Dai. So if Angry Dai just step on into that active camo trap coming out from Chingy, if not then the Holy Nova, then at least Angry Dai has got that access to that reflex block. And I guess that is why he settled for that early defenses first, rather than going for the tension bow straight up. But then again, it's quite understandable as well, because Cruel has to be in the front lines, and we did see, the team that really has to prioritize on the reflex block a little more has to be that of ASN Esports, since there's like from Hell's Heart that they have to block out. On top of that, they have the core collapse, and of course, a lot of
Chingy gonna get stunned. by the from Hell's Heart. They were talking about the time that will be enough to keep him alive. Shingy, really good backing off. One more basic tech low, not quite enough. Shingy is going to be able to survive. One shot onto Rubber Monkey. Good block. Didn't hit Truffy's. Shingy's in the bush. There is no vision, so he won't be caught out. He's going to go to Angudai. Angudai gets the kill. No, it just gets the kill. It just went invisible. And Cruel is the one who fell. Everyone from ASN except Tessaboy is very low. Truffy's could try and get some kills here. He hasn't got the Solar Storm. Used it to try and catch out Shingy with a bit of poke. And Truffy's going to rotate down. Good fight for ASN. They pick up one kill in return for nothing. Tessaboy looks like he wants to just steal this midway, but no, they're not going to fight.
Yep, I mean, at the end of the day, Chingy really, on the side of ASN Esports, really has to prioritize on that reflex block right now, but we do see, though, Aeon on that. Idris is quickly removing the turret.
Aeon could be in trouble. There's the Arcane Passion. Truffy's will not quite pick up the kill. Lovely Shroud Step for Aeon, but it's not enough. He will get the kill with the Solar Storm. Idris is still going to go, thank you very much. I'll take your turret. I'll lose my life, but that's not at all a worry. We've got Shingy and Yane. Shingy's got no jungle to clear. Shingy can stop my turret falling, and now we're in a good position. From Hell's Heart is available. If they do manage to catch out where Shingy is, Angudai could throw it, and he's going to go for it then. Hell's Heart, not quite landing, going to get the Sun Tessaboy instead. Not block. Block wasn't available, so an easy kill for Eanix. I think that was a really smart play. Angudai, good dodge on the one-shot, one kill. Angudai threw it out for Shingy and went, okay, if it misses, I'll just get the stun onto Tessaboy and secure the kill. And now Truffy's going to be able to port home. No turret falling, so I think even though they lost 2 kills, that's still a win for ASM.
Definitely a win coming up for the side of ASN, but at the end of the day, kills aren't all that matters as long as you can get turrets and, of course, objectives on top of that. The side of Eanix, they are very strong in terms of kill. They have very good gang potential. On top of that, they have got Angudai on that Cruel as well to just provide the front line. Problem with them, it's they do not, and it's not capitalizing on those kills. Whereas the side of Eanix, or rather the side of ASN Esports, the moment they got the kill onto Angudai, they turned the attention to that turret. So that is why, I mean, ASN just looking like the stronger team at this point in time. But like you said, a lot of power spikes coming through. Celeste already 9, so which means, you know, the side of ASN really has to be careful going into the next fight, especially since only Chingy has got a reflex block right now. Tessaboy has got the Crucible, but Aeon though, nothing on head yet.
Yeah, there's going to be Angudai trying to be running towards Shingy, but just going to wait in the bush to get his Shadows and Family perk back up. Shingy is slightly out of position. He could go for Hell's Heart, not going to, just going to flare out, see where all the members of ASN are, and Angudai is waiting for position. Truffy's going to get dived on. Angudai just going to stand there, one shot, not going to connect. And now good damage on the Supernova onto Aeon. Shingy is not being spotted by Scout Trap yet. Angudai going with Tessaboy. Wants to from Hell's Heart. It will not quite connect, and he's not going to get the boomerang. Yes, he will. Onto Idris. Lovely play from Angudai. That's a dead Aeon, no question. If you get hit by that boomerang stun, you are gone. It's going to be an easy turret if they want it. Eanix just going to push the turret. They're not going to go for the kills. As you said, objectives are better than kills as long as you can secure them. And now Eanix are going to clear the wave and probably back off, but Angudai is being very sneaky. Nope, he's just going to rotate back towards maybe gold line.
Yeah, I mean, Cruel at its point in time, such a strong pick. It's quite bewildering. Not bewildering, but it boggles my mind as to why ASN Esports even allowed that Cruel through, especially since Eanix has played Cruel Celeste combination to quite an outstanding extent, and they were very successful with that comp at least. So Cruel really should be prioritized as a band right now. The changes to DMR did not seem very big, but at this point in time, especially since Cruel was already strong in 2.6, they must really kind of just keep Cruel at the back of their mind, whether or not to take that Cruel away from ASN Eanix. If not, then pick it for himself, because it's quite obvious at this point in time that ASN Esports do not have an answer whatsoever to this Cruel and of course the last combo. I mean, on paper it might seem like it's pretty easy to take down this combination with Chingy can just rotating, they just active camo into the bags, remove trophies from the equation, and then focus on Cruel.
They took the Crystal Entry down, 517 damage. That's going to be a dead Aeon, not quite. Lovely device to keep him healthy. Shingy was caught out by a flare. Celeste is going to ignore Idris, go straight for Shingy. Good block on the core collapse. Angudai has not got from Hell's Heart. One shot, going to miss and hit onto Rubber Monkey. Angudai is very healthy. Infusion popped. Celeste picked up a broken myth. So that was well played by ASN. They get the Sentry and don't die for it. I think that Eanix could have played that slightly better. They could have rotated quicker. They would have easily got a kill onto at least Xingyi. Now Grace has got that echo. That's very important for Grace. We've seen a couple of fantastic divine interventions to keep Aeon or Xingyi alive. And you can't, even though you're going to get weakness snacks, you can do a lot of damage with your Celeste. 40% damage reduction is so massive that you just can't burst through it and they're going to survive.
Yep, definitely. And we do see, though, Trophy's not really going to go for that defense. Instead, he has got a reflex block, don't get me wrong. But on top of that, he has got a Frostburn, got a Broken Myth, and Eve of Harvest. And I guess that is why it's a good reason to put that mage in that lane so they can get the items much faster. And if you need those levels as well, you can just rotate into the jungle, synergize a little with your jungler, and then score one or two of their backs. That way, you can get your levels. It's kind of a win-win for you and your team itself. The side of ASN, though, they are looking rather rocky at this point in time. They really have got no answer to this crew. Granted, in that team fight, they didn't quite win. All they did was just run away.
Solar Storm, one shot, one kill, both now one coming down. Angudo will be flared out, waiting for the right opportunity to engage, but he's going to back off to the next bush and then try and catch out Xingyi. Good damage onto Trophies by Xingyi, and there's going to be some Helios to try and find out where this Kestrel is. And hiding in the bush, but Crawl's just waiting in the back line. He's got some Hellstar available. Core Collapse does not land, so there will be no follow-up from Iron. He's waiting. They know he's waiting. He's coming in. Going to go Deathmatch Rush onto Idris. Forces out the Divine Intervention, so that is wasted. Going to be echoed now. That will be up again, but wasted Divine Intervention by ASN. They're going to go on to Trophies. Good damage by Xingyi. Trophy could be out of position. He's going to block from Hellstar. Lovely preemptive block. Trophies massive damage by the one shot, one kill. Idris diving in. Clean Atlas. Will it be enough? Not quite. The Atlas being fantastic. That's not quite enough damage. Trophies. There's going to be Solar Storm. So much damage onto Aeon. Iron wants to pick it up. Survival Monkey's so low as well. Everyone's going so low. Aeon's almost dead. One more basic attack from anyone, and we'd see a couple of kills traded over. But in the end, nothing happens.
Nothing happens indeed. Rather anticlimactic team fight right there coming up from both teams. They just didn't want to commit too much. And if any of them really did commit it, then they will definitely fail. They would have definitely fallen. So honestly, if you think about it, both of the team comps roughly similar, with Xingyi in the back lines just dealing out damage via those glimmer shots, and of course we will see Trophies as well doing the same thing. Problem with the side of ASN Esports, or rather Eanix, is that they do not have a Grace that can frontline as well.
Oh, they found out Xingyi. Xingyi is in a bad position. There's a flare on the active camera trap. That's going to be a dead Xingyi. Almost good stun. Will be falling. Divine Intervention was not enough for Tesla Boy. Rough Monkey with a fantastic flare and then Arcane Passage to force Xingyi to rotate down, which meant Iron Udai was free, do damage. Xingyi was inside the flare. He did walk into the active camo trap and didn't block it, but it didn't make that much of a difference. I think so they're going to try and steal it with an Idris Chakram. They shouldn't be successful against the Lyra or Cruel, but he's going to go for it. Not quite.
Oh!
What? Why did you let that happen, Eanix? I mean, to be fair, the Kraken's already about 3/4 health, but that's a disaster for Eanix. They cannot let Idris steal a Kraken away with a Chakram away from a Cruel. He did that from Hell's Heart far too late. Idris had already Chakrams, and you didn't Spectral Smite. That's going to be be fair, it will be a free Kraken for Eanix. I think ASN might get one turret, but Trust is very low on energy. So if they decide to dive, they could be in a good position. Eanix is going to destroy the Kraken. She's almost dead. I don't think they're going to get anything. They've got to go on Struff. It's got to try it. And Holy Nova are going to miss. Jiggy is up in lane. They're going to Glimmer Shot onto those turrets. First turret will easily fall. Aeon diving onto Rubber Monkey. Divine Dimension not going to do any healing. He was already full health. Rubber Monkey will fall. We'll get the Atlas off first. Now it just has to back off under turret. One more turret shot. He's going to block it. Jiggy on the back line. They get 1.5 turrets. So not complete waste for ASM, but a massive, massive mistake from Eanix.
Yeah, massive mistake indeed. They could have Spectral Smite. They could have smited that Kraken and then scored it. Instead, the side of Eanix really just wanted to just turn around. I guess the mentality going into that fight, or rather that Kraken rather, was that You know, if they score that Kraken, especially since Trophies is there, has got a lot of damage, and then from Hell's Heart do come out onto Aeon, they could just finish Kraken and immediately jump on Aeon. But of course, the Chakram, like you said, came out first. They were just a little too late. And of course, ASN Esports stealing that Kraken. Granted, though, that Kraken barely took 2 turrets, 1.5, like you said, and quite not worthy for the side of Eanix if you don't think about it. Granted, they did lose 1 turret, but at the end of it all, they did get 500 gold for each player at least. So that is one thing we must keep in mind as well. But the side of ASN Esports, they might be flanking Eanix.
Yeah, gold is good, but I think 2 turrets would have been way better for Eanix. Trophy's massive damage for the one-shot, 1 kill. Again, a wasted divine intervention. 720 heal is pointless if he's already full health. And so that's going to be good stun onto Shingy. Can he get the supernova? Yes, it will. 600 damage onto Shingy. So the storm will be blocked by Tensor Boy. Aeon goes very low. Hell's Heart, will it connect onto Tensor Boy? No, it will not quite. Double stun from Shingy. So much damage onto Cool, but Celeste gets the kill onto Idris. That's Trophy's in the stun. Shingy's going to take 1 shot, going to take the second one.
Oh!
For the Kestrel, but it's not quite enough because Celeste managed to make the Helio go supernova, but then Kestrel got the double stun and double kill. So even trade, I think Shingy played really well to get those double stuns laid up. There was no vision from Upper Monkey, so they didn't know, and nothing's really going to happen from this.
Nothing's gonna happen indeed. Both players, both surviving players, Angry Die and Tezabot, will just return to base, just reset a little. And although we constantly say that if you do have a Crystal Castro you're going up against, build strategic vision. You don't have to spam on those scout traps because it is not worth it. Gold wise, but of course if you place gold or rather vision in that of late, at least you might have caught out Chingy then and would not have stepped into those active camos. Granted, only flares reveal where the positions of active camos are, but honestly it is just a lack of vision that's doing the side of Eanix in. So I would like to see though Round Monkey just coming out with better vision control, although he does not have the contraption, only sitting at 2 flares at this point in time. Very good spot for ASN Esports if they do want to go in for a fight.
Yeah, they do. Gudai has got a flare as well, just to try and help catch out this Kestrel when he dives in. So that's really smart when you're up against CP Kestrel. As a jungler, you want to get flares yourself so that you're not relying on your captain to flare out where Kestrel is, you can just do it. Now Eanix will rotate down to the jungle shop because there are no flares. 1 shot, going to land on Trophies, but that's an ultimate for an A. Rubber Monkey easily able to heal Trophies back to full health. Now Angry You Die is just going to wait. He's going to hide. Eanix is going to push, try and bait Kestrel or Idris in a bad position. And I think they could go for Kraken. It might be a mistake. Obviously, it was stolen away from them before. They are going to rotate to it. They know that no one is there. And they're just going to wait for an engage.
Yep, they are going to wait for an engage at this point in time. But honestly, we look at this team fight, and although Celeste and of course that of Crew will have the early game, problem is that the Crystal Castro is so difficult for the side of Eanix to catch up without very good vision coming up from them. And thus, Angry You Die want to use your TMR or use and just burn out through your Shadows and Powers, Meepa, and then you really have got nothing else left within the entirety of the team fight. So you really have to push your early game aggression for that matter and not just allow. I mean, a lot of times we did see Angry You Die really want to go in for the team fight. Problem with going in is that he no longer has got his perk up, so he needs to rush back into a brush. Ho ho ho!
Yep, Shingy gonna find out. Get double stunned by Shingy, gets double stunned on Crawl. Tensor taking the brunt of that. Tensor going in, he's not gonna block Hell's Heart. It's gonna be a massive stun. That should be a dead grace if they want to. Yes, they will. No fountain used, no divine intervention, no echo on the divine intervention. All because from Hell's Heart max range stun. You can't do anything when you're stunned except block, and Tensor did, but it wasn't quite enough. Now Aeon, the god plays, will he do it twice in a row? Eanix, you have a Celeste Supernova, you have a Crawl Spectral Smite, you have a Lyra with her Imperial Sigil Burst. You should not let Idris steal this again. Please, just Smite and yeah, Idris is backing off. Kestrel, gonna go for it, and Kestrel's gonna get it. Eanix,
oh wow!
They're gonna get gold from it, but now Shingy is there. So they need to be extremely careful then for the Solar Storm from Celeste. Iron Guy's going to go in. That's a double stun from Shingy is set up. There's one of them. Going to get the kill on Iron Guy. Not quite. He's going to survive for a long time. Won't be enough. Aeon is going to fall. Shingy is very low. There's a Celeste Healer Genesis. So Truffy's going to port home. Shingy going to port home as well. Because look at those minions. They will take the turret if Tesboy doesn't stop it. And Kraken for a choke point turret. Probably worth it for ASN given the position they were in. Eanix were ahead. They'd lost their captain, and Eanix have got a Kraken. That's a good one shot onto the turret. So Eanix again, they're going to get the gold lead, but they still have 4 whole turrets to get through. Luxuria.
Yep, they do have 4 more turrets to get through, and really that is the problem coming up from the side of Eanix. It's their inability to secure these Krakens that just would change the game, honestly, because had Eanix got that Kraken, they could have pushed two turrets, yeah? The first one. And then afterwards we'll probably end the game with this Kraken that Castro stole. And honestly, we think about it, and we just look at the game itself, and we just scratch our head.
Oh, Shingy's caught out. Shingy caught out. There's going to be an arcade passage. There's going to be a Solar Storm Pencilboy trying to mention on Shingy, but that leaves Pencilboy very exposed. He's going to fall. Lovely stun by Shingy. Well, walking into it. The stun does not damage the Truffies. Shingy's on the back line. Truffies is running away. It's an Atlas landing onto Aeon. He's going to get stunned, but he's going to block it. Aeon, one more Helio will kill him, or just Lyra can probably do it. There's Truffies picking up the kill. Shingy very low on energy, cannot afford to even go into active camo at this point. So Shingy's going to have to back off. Good fight for Eanix. Unfortunately, Iron Gudai walking headfirst into an active camo, 1 shot, 1 kill. Probably not the best idea. So I think Eanix can probably push this turret. There's only Shingy alive, and there are 2 of them left.
Yep, 1 shot, 1 kill do land on Rubber Monkey, although a Solar Storm comes out from Truffies in return, but they will definitely be able to take this turret. I mean, just look at the amount of burst coming out from Truffies of the Celeste.
Yeah, Truffy's doing an awful lot of damage. Shingy's going to do so much more back onto Truffy, though. There's a divine intervention from Tesboy to heal up Shingy. Now Truffy is backing off very far, and Tesboy's going to try and chase, but Rubber Monkey has got those heals. Rubber Monkey may even fall, but no, there's vision, and so Shingy's not going to go too deep. Again, little energy on Shingy. With this build, Shingy's only got Halcyon charges for energy regen. That's probably why he keeps just running out. And Iron Gudai needs the vision. He's bought scout traps, put them down. Now he's bought flares, and Rubber Monkey's bought scout traps. But Iron Gudai needs to know where these camo traps are, needs to dodge them, or just block when he walks through them, because there's so much damage. He's getting bursted down before he can even get near Shingy, and he gets rooted by the tree. And so both teams are looking for a fight. Who wants to engage? Do you reckon Eanix is going to go in, or will it be Aeon onto Truffies?
Well, I mean, just looking at item builds at this point in time, honestly, the side of ASN Esports can initiate with the engagement because of what Shingy built as first item, and that would be that Frostburn instead of Shatterglass. So he is looking for the lengthened engagement, or rather the engagement where he can chase. Ooh, but
It's going to be the Arcane Passion. Solar Storm was used, so it did not connect. The Arcane Passion Lyra was there for an engage, but they're now not engaging, so that's a bit of a wasted cooldown to be up for another 20 seconds. Iron Gudai's found out Tesboy's going to be baited onto the active camera trap. No, he won't. Well played, Iron Gudai. He knows that something was up. Now Shingy's just going to back off. Truffy's picked up an infusion. He is fully built with 2,000 gold just sitting in the pocket. Hey, I'm going to go Shingy on the back line. I think Truffy's maybe caught out. He has no idea where Shingy is. But Monkey hasn't got any flares yet. Needs to go and buy them or buy some scout traps. Shingy's just waiting. Gonna get some damage onto Truffies. No, he misses two limit shots. There's Hell's Heart. Shingy gonna get healed up. Lovely second stun. Iron Gudai has to back off now. If he's going in with the Shimmer Strike, and there's the one shot. We're going very low. I think one shot hit Kraken. And now Eanix gonna back off. The minions are pushed in their side, so they can't go too far, but they're gonna chase in. There's another wave to stall. I think they saw Shingy port. That's going to be a stun onto Tesboy. Didn't use the divine intervention on himself, and Aeon has to back off. It looks like he's going Serpent's Mask last item. Now Eanix are going to try and take the Kraken, but Celeste did port home to stop this wave. And Eanix, I don't know what to say. Will they get the Kraken, Luxuria?
I personally think they might. I hope, right? I personally do not want to think anything, but I just hope that they will secure this Kraken finally for themselves and not just give it away to the side of ASN that they have been. But then Truffies now is here. He will be helping out with That Kraken push.
Yo, the Kraken is being taken. Spectral Spot's available. Shingy is there. Hell's Heart, good. Stun Idris out. But
Wow.
ASN, why do we need to start Kraken? You can do it from a single full. Boy is very low. So Trappies is very low. Boy's fallen. Now Aeon's got 1 kill. Idris sits on top of him. What is Idris going to do? Fall is bearing down on you. Full weakness stacks. No, not even going to Spectral Smite. He's just going to wait in the bush. Go towards the Kraken. And actually he's going to go now onto Aeon. Good Shroud step. Just dodge the chakram. Now Angudai needs to go back or go for the kill. He's very low on energy. He's going to actually boot towards this Kraken. And ASN have done about, 500 damage to Kraken, and they've taken 3 of them. And so they're definitely doing extremely well at the moment. I think they could even push for the win. And Angudai is going to try and defend. Aeon is quite low, but Kraken's going to just bear down on these turrets. 720 heal, that's extremely good. Idris diving in. Echo was used. Divine Defense is up again. Good Atlas blocked, but he does not block the stun from Hell's Heart. Now going to go in, lots of damage, second Divine Dimension. Idris is basically full health. Kraken's so healthy. Idris now going onto the vein. It is exposed. Celeste is back up. Solar Storm is going to connect. Aeon, 1 shot, going to go onto the vein. Kraken is now bearing down. Celeste going straight to the Kraken. But what about Tesla-Boy? Tesla-Boy doing a lot of damage. And I think Eanix are going to lose the first game to 3 Kraken steals in a row. ASN, well played.
Well played indeed, and I reckon for the next time the Vainglory 8 series will be up, I assure you the highlights reel will just be of Chingy and Aeon222, and of course of ASN Esports just stealing Kraken over and over and over again, and very well played coming up from the side of ASN Esports. I mean, Eanix have got that game, that is definitely for sure. The side of Eanix, or rather the side of ASN, could not have won any team fights whatsoever. Looking at how the game have been going, at least a lot of times, once Eanix, as long as Eanix has got the flares in the pocket, the side of ASN really couldn't win any team fights. What ASN could do, and that is what they did, was just steal Kraken over and over again.
Yeah, Eanix, they had the team comp, they had the better draft. They were winning the team fights. They were ahead in kills, ahead in gold, but then they didn't know how to secure Kraken. That was the main problem, because obviously against the Crystal Kestrel it is quite hard. She has massive burst damage, but if you're deciding to take Kraken against that comp, you have to have. If you don't have a flare on Kestrel, you assume she is trying to steal it, and so you just go, okay, before we get a flare on Kestrel, let's not try and secure it, because once Kestrel's been flared out, you body block the Glimmer Shot. She's not going to steal it. If you stun Idris or just use Spectral Smite at the right time, he's not going to steal it. And so I think, Eanix, they need to do a little bit of practice on that. It's not too hard given the practice mode we now have. Just go in 3v3, try and take Kraken and make sure you can secure it. I think it just changed the game, made ASN actually able to win. Whereas, as you said, they weren't winning team fights. Idris got a lot of damage off. I think Grace wasted an awful lot of ultimates, which was a real shame. But ASN, they played well. They were coordinated and stole the Kraken at the right times and then didn't overextend. That was the main thing they didn't do. They didn't let Eanix get aces. I don't think Eanix got a single ace in the entire game.
Nope.
ASN would just back off when they were in a bad position and then come back and steal Kraken. So well played by ASN. I think Eanix is going to be very disappointed, but they got a good draft. They've got that going for them.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of it all, we must say, though, a lot of times when you see a Crystal Kestrel on the enemy team, you try to body block the Kraken so that 1-shot-1 kill hits you and not the Kraken. Problem with Chingy and, of course, ASN is that they are not afraid of just being in your face and being part of your team when you guys are taking that Kraken. Of course, we did see in the latest steal, or in the last steal coming up from Chingy, Chingy was standing at the corner of the Kraken pit. Although the flare went off, it only revealed Aeon222 on that Idris, and there was no sight of Kestrel at all, and Kestrel was just at the corner when it was about time, revealed himself, shot 2 or 3 glimmer shots, and bam, Kraken went to the side of ASN Esports. So very well played coming up from Chingy. 2 Kraken steals from him as well, so very, very well played.
Yeah, I think that play from Chingy was literally just, okay, I'm going to take the Kraken, I'm going to die, because where am I going to go? I'm not going to be able to get away from this Lyra called. But if I get Kraken and Idris and Grace stay alive, we can win this game. So he did the play, got the Kraken, And now we're going to be heading into the draft for the second game of the day. Now, Eanix on the B side, ASN going to be able to try and draft. I think they're going to try and draft slightly now. Hopefully, they don't let less crawler 2 picks one after the other. So there's a lot that Eanix can do here, and that obviously they like to ban Bow, and they've already done that, and they're going to ban the Kestrel. Just get rid of it. Not allowed to play CP Kestrel because Eanix didn't have to ban anything. Scarf ban from ASN, perfect. Make sure Eanix cannot pick it. I'd still expect the Celeste, because then you can go Celeste cool if it's open, or you can just go Celeste in the jungle, maybe pick a lane Idris or similar.
Or Black Feather in that lane of... Oh, wait, what? No, I think the teams are picking wrongly. Mini,
I think there might be a misclick. I think they probably wanted to pick CP Adagio, but they've gone for Reza. So this is going to be really interesting to see Reza. It's almost definitely going to be a CP Reza. We might see it lane, we might see it jungle. I'm not sure what they're going to go for. Instead of the Celeste Crawl comp, they're just going to counter Reza with Crawl and Idris. Reza is an assassin. He's similar to Taka, if you don't actually know how Reza works.
Yeah.
And now he's up against a Bruiser who's Crawl and someone called Idris, who is fantastic against assassins. Idris does well against Taka, does well against Koshka and all of the heroes like that. So I think they're in a bad position. They need to put Reza, I'd say, in the jungle. And you go someone like a lane Vox could work, but it's really they're in a bad position. I don't think Reza was the smartest pick.
Yeah, I mean, I must agree with you. I was thinking the side of Eanix would have just went for the Black Feather, misclicked into Reza, and then of course close the comp out with that Celeste. That would be a rather optimum pick. If not Celeste, then of course Samuel as well. Taka is just a stronger version of Reza. Koshka does well as compared
in
to
the early game.
Yeah, so Batiste is a good pick as well.
Okay, I think we all don't think Reza's a good pick, in case you haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
We think Reza's a bit too weak in the early game, and late game there were better options. There were Celeste is better in the late game, and I think there are a lot better. You could do a lot better
if you decide to go for Reza, but maybe they're really comfortable on him. Maybe they think he's going to be really strong. Maybe they're really comfortable on how to play Reza. So again, there's a lot of maybes because him in competitive. We don't know how strong he is, but I'm definitely going to go for ASM for this draft. They've got Idris Crawl, a great combination, and it looks like it's going to be a lane weapon glaive, good counter to Idris, and maybe Reza with his B will be able to run away from Crawl. So I guess they've got that going for them.
Yeah, but I hope to see a CP Idris, to be completely honest, because of how Idris has been changed on the weapon part. Not exactly a big nerf. Idris did not take a big hit by any means. There is no Blaze It for Idris, but because of that change to Idris ratios, the crystal part of Idris, or the crystal divergent path, is just a tad stronger as compared to the weapon path. As long as you can land those chakrams, which I'm sure at this particular level of play, they will definitely be able to. But I'm still excited to see, though, how the side of ASN...
I'm interested to see what if ASN go for that Crystal Idris, as you said.
Yeah.
I think it would make sense. Against Weapon Glaive, Weapon Idris isn't good. Crystal Idris would work really well because as long as you're not snowballed too hard early game, as long as you get your Frostburn, then you'll be in a fantastic position. Or just get 100 CP. Most people go for Frostburn first on Idris because it does unlock conversion pass. And then the Weapon Crawl will be great against Reza. He'll be able to stick on top of him. Even when Reza does Netherform Detonator, goes invisible for a bit. Once Crawl gets on top of him, he gets weakness stacks, and then Reza is empowered, but then he's nerfed by Crawl, and so it kind of evens out. And I really like ASM, but we don't know. Maybe Eanix have practiced their Reza. Maybe they're fantastically comfortable and strong on Reza, so we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, but I mean, if I were a pyromaniac, I would still go for Scarf, although Scarf is banned out at this point in time. But that was
That's it.
Yeah, but that was something. Yeah, but that was something that Milski said, and it kind of resonates with a lot of players around the world, to be honest. And we saw a meme as well. I'm sure you did. It was all over Twitter. I think it was Leon or Avonsi that posted a meme that, last time, previous patch, the treant or the mid treant, the minion in the jungle was this biggie thing with horns, and afterwards they say it's a transformation of that. That's why Reza is so potato. In the current patch at least. So I found that quite funny, and honestly, Reza, there might be like a secret way to play Reza that the casters and of course the other players, and I'm sure the viewers haven't quite yet figured out. So let's see what the pro players can bring to the table. And of course, in this case, what I Angry Will Die or Trophies will bring to the table, because I'm not sure. Both Trophies and I Angry Will Die, they can go on either roles. If the glaive will be in lane, then of course Trophies will be playing on the glaive, and of course I Angry Will Die on that Reza. But judging from how I Angry Will Die have been playing so far, he no longer wants to end games as fast as possible. Instead, he prefers farming up into that late game before he starts being very aggressive. So in this case, in this particular scenario, then maybe it will work out for them.
Yeah, I think we like to see I Angry Will Die. He loves to play glaive. So that could push Glaive onto him. And then obviously, as a jungler, that means you've got Reza in lane. I feel like Reza is actually stronger in lane. His Scorcher doesn't go through jungle minions. It stops at the first jungle minion it hits, which is really the main reason why his jungle clear speed is so slow. Whereas in lane, you know that it will go through all lane minions, so you can farm up much more effectively. You can poke the enemy more effectively with a lane Reza. And looking at the teams, it does look like Trophies is on Reza, so it's most likely to be lane, but you never know. Maybe Angry Will Die is going to be pushing this glaive to lane, and just because he's so comfortable on glaive, that's why we're going to see Angry Will Die on it. Now we are into the Halcyon Fold, so I think we're going to see a Reza lane. So I do agree that's much stronger than in jungle.
Yeah, but it would be pretty funny though if we do see a Samuel, Grace, and Reza. Grace being the one that took care of Reza, if I'm not wrong, and of course Samuel is the son of Reza, but of course Samuel the stronger son than the father. But honestly, Trophies. Oh, that's the first laugh I made Mini Mitre laugh. Viewers,
I like that one. That was good.
Thank you. But you know, honestly, Trophies going for that weapon blade pickup, probably for that earlier clear. But I would have preferred if he just went for that Book of Eulogies, just for that sustain, going up against Aeon 222 on that Idris that has got, I reckon, the better clear speed as compared to Reza. But if I'm not wrong, or rather Mini, correct me if I'm wrong, but does the Scorcher, as a perk, or rather Fire Starter, affect all the lane minions? Or the last one it crashed at?
I know that I think it affects all of them on the way. No, it can't. That'd be too OP. I think his Fire Starter perk would only affect what it crashes into. So he's now going to go into Aeon, but he can't do anything. Trophies just hasn't got that much poke. And the Fire Starter perk is so important on Reza. You really need to use it properly. And so yeah, we see the Fire Starter is now on Aeon, so it only applies to whatever it impacts with. So that means the hero, so now Aeon has got that ready. So if Trophies manages to get in range, probably by using his Troublemaker, one of the charges, that would be how to get in range. And yeah, he's doing good poke. He's landing the Scorchers really well, but it's doing absolutely nothing onto Aeon.
Absolutely nothing indeed. But we all know, and the casters and of course other...
Oh, it's going to be going in. Aeon's going to go out of the hook. Still will be stunned, but Monkey in a bad position. Great rotation from Xingyi. First blood over to the Crawl. Now Angry Will Die rotating up. Xingyi's hiding in the top bush. Who's going to go for the first gank? Will it be Angry Will Die with the afterburn? Will it be Xingyi with the Dead Man's Rush? Trophy's in a bad position. Xingyi's right next to him, but there's going to be the afterburn, and Xingyi's going to try and keep Aeon alive. Good boots from Angry Will Die. Try and keep himself alive, but there's no afterburn. One more basic attack will secure the kill. ASN 2-0 already. Love Monkey's back in lane, so Aeon's going to farm up the way best he can, then just back off. Xingyi happy to help secure one kill and assist with the other one.
Yep, very good rotation coming up from Xingyi, like you said. And honestly, we did say, and of course the other analysts like that of physics have also mentioned that Reza, it's basically a walking aftershock, and a lot of his kit revolves around getting the Fire Starter perk onto your enemies and then basic attacking them just to execute, and rather not execute, but then burn that perk, burn that Fire Starter to do a lot more damage. But honestly, all of his skills not having much damage to them, and how incredibly weak he is. Granted, you have a form of escape in terms of another form detonator, but even then it is quite telegraphed, although you cannot quite see it. You kind of know because of its range. It's not very far. It's not like you can kaku and run away, but you just disappear for a little while and then reappear at another spot. So pretty much like Idris, but then no one can tell. But it is quite telegraphed in a sense where it is not a big radius where you can run to in team fights. And on top of that, another form detonator, you really want to use it aggressively and not very passively, like when you do use your Rose offensive. You really want to go in with your Rose offensive, and when the time calls for it, to get out of it, or to try to dodge out statuses and of course stuns and silencers and whatnot. But for another form detonator, it's quite different in that sense. You really want to go in with that aggressively.
Reto is really the strong. He's quite a good hero when empowered because of Nerf Form Detonator. Apart from that, he's kind of alright. If you really go aggressive after that ultimate, that's when you do the majority of your damage. We are going to be seeing a Crystal Power Idris, so that's really smart. Truffy's doing a bit of poke, but not really anything Aeon can't heal through with that Book of Eulogies. Angudai is level 6, but Shingy isn't, so that's no real Hell's Heart gank by Shingy. And Truffy's not going to be able to support home, and he's probably not going to be able to get home there either, I reckon. Shingy's going to go for it. Nope. Good after from Glaive to keep Shingy away. That is intention by proc on Glaive. And the level 6 on Angudai means nothing. When Shingy hits that 6, it will be about quite soon a little bit more farm or a little bit more just ambient experience, and Shingy will hit 6. And that's a really good power spike for ASN. And there is the level 6. Could go for it from Hellstart. They do not know Shingy is level 6. Now they do. Angudai going to get hit by the stun. That is quite a long stun. Spectral Smite not quite enough. Aeon still has not got his Divergent Pass unlocked. With 2k gold, can afford a Frostburn easily, but hasn't picked it up yet. Sharpies with a little bit of damage. Shingy going to dive under turret. Wants to get the kill onto Reza. Not quite enough. Doesn't land the Spectral Smite. I think that was a wasted bounty from Desert Boy. He was expecting Shingy to dive under turret, but Shingy decided not to. So now Fountain is available for Grace, but not for Lyra. Now they're going to push this turret. Probably going to try and just get it, or maybe even get a kill. And yeah, they're going to go for Angudai. Smite not quite enough. He's going to be able to back away, and they're not going to get the turret and not going to get a kill. So not worth it for ASN. They should have either gone for the turret or just dived all on Glaive. Shingy unable to port home. Great troublemaker by Droppies to stop that port from Shingy. Now Aeon with 2.5k gold now just needs to farm up this one wave, and he has to rotate down to jungle or port home soon.
He definitely has to. Sitting at gold doesn't make you stronger, although Trophy is maybe looking for more. However, Aeon will quickly just pick up this wave and hopefully pot back home, but nope, I take that back.
Yeah, he's going to go in, try and clear another wave. That's one of the problems with this in the early game, is your clear speed is so slow that you keep having waves to clear, and there's never a good time to go home. Except for now, he's done well. He's cleared the wave, going to rotate down to shop instead of port back, which is much quicker. And I reckon he could probably pick up a full Broken Myth if he wanted to. He's probably going to get the Frostburn though. Nope, straight Shattered Glass and then work towards an Alternating Current. It's very interesting. We don't tend to see Alternating Current on Twisted Idris. It works because you obviously get your attack speed and get a little bit of extra damage on those autos. And now this is a really good time for Smellstart, just dodged by the Troublemaker. So ASN unable to really capitalise on that. And they're still going to try and push this turret, but I think Eanix should be able to defend it.
Yep, Scorcher kind of missed a little trophies though, or rather Chingy though, looking to go in. A lot of pressure and a lot of emphasis on lane at this point in time. I think the side of ASN Esports just think that because of how weak Reza is in the early game, they want to try capitalizing on the weakness, but we do see the damage coming out from Aeon though.
We do trophies, it's very low. One more Chakram double shot would easily pick him up. And we saw a Storm Crown first on trophies. Something I noticed was very odd. Normally we see Aftershock Storm Crown on Reza, but Aftershock first. He's now picked it up, so maybe he just wants to clear the farm a lot quicker, try and clear lane quicker, and not really going for the damage. Shingy going to go for the gold mine. Will Eanix do the reverse steal? Angudai is very low. And see, that's how you take objectives. You kill them so they can't even try, and easily secured by ASN. So that'll be a nice gold payout, immense gold payout for them. Reza is just clearing the jungle. He's trying to farm himself up. Idris already with a Shatter Glass and Alternating Current. Idris and Reza have the same number of items, but Idris's are far more expensive, so it's really good for ASN at the moment.
Definitely, and that's one thing that we must note as well. A lot of times when we do see Storm Crown on that or on Reza, it is usually because Reza is placed in that jungle role. But honestly, being in lane and you have got so much farm, you could have just opted for that Shatter Glass, for that a little more damage for your Fire Starter Heroic perk. And on top of that as well, all of your abilities do scale with Crystal Power. So it kind of boggles my mind as to why Storm Crown is chosen as one of the damage items or one of the items pick up. Granted, you want to clear your way fast, but with extra Crystal Power, you can do that as well.
Yeah, I do agree. Crystal Power gives you damage on your abilities, which gives you damage on minions. But Aeon is doing damage onto that turret. Eanix have to back off, and turret is one minion wave push from dead pretty much. Given the damage this Crystal Idris has, I think Eanix need to fight soon because Aeon is only going to ramp up on the CP Idris as Hell's Heart. That'll be a dead name. Nothing he can do. Block on the Hell's Heart, block on the Holy Nova. That's a heal going down onto Truffy. Shiggy wants to go onto Rough Monkey. Deadman's Rush not quite enough to pick up the kill, but Truffy's will fall to Idris' basic attack. And that was an easy target for ASN. Now they can take whatever they want. They're going to get the jungle. They're going to get the backs and sentry probably as well because they just can. There's nothing that Eanix can do at this point. They're behind in gold. And ASN are just going to ramp up the late game with this Crystal Idris. And I think Reza, unfortunately, will not have that strong a place in this meta.
Definitely. It's quite sad to see because I had such high hopes for Reza, but honestly, yet again, it is just down to the Storm Crown. Had Reza probably went for Aftershock Broken Myth instead, just utilizing the farm lane, the farm he's getting in lane a little better by picking up raw Crystal Power, then it would have probably worked out at the end of it all. But the problem with with Reza at this point in time, if you are going to stop for the Storm Crown, granted it helps you farm a little faster, but even then you cannot quite win.
Tensa Boy afterburned away from Hell's Heart was used to try and get a stun, but didn't do anything. Actually, Idris getting the kill onto Glaive with those basic attacks. Aeon doing so much work on this Crystal Idris. He's now going on to Rough Monkey as the basics doing a lot of damage. There's a Shapcom going to pick up the kill. Actually, Cool managed to confirm that. Aeon doing fantastic work of just standing at the back line and dealing out massive damage with this Shatter Glass AC. It's probably going to be into a Broken Myth. And now ASM, good rotation. The Sentry isn't up for them to take. Actually, Reza is walking with the Sentry, but they're going to back off there. Everyone's a level ahead, and they're 5k gold ahead. ASM don't need to get caught out. They just have to take objectives. When a fight comes, get kills, and they should be pretty good going on to later in the game.
Yeah, but we do see though, Truffy's going for that Broken Myth. Like we all always and constantly say that Reza is just so good in that late game once he gets all these items. But whether or not ASN will allow that of Eanix to get into that late game that we constantly talk about, but Truffy's at this point in time may be caught out.
Hell's Heart, Truffy's, you do a bit of damage, but he got absolutely deleted by the Arcane Passage, damage from Shingy and Aeon. Great rotation. ASN, they're such a coordinated team. As soon as they get one kill, they went, okay, we can try and dive this Grey Sclave. It's not going to work. We're not going to get the kill. Just get a Sentry, and now we'll look to see if we can get the kill. It's going to be the Holy Nova, not quite landing. Rough Monkey is going to go very low, found himself. He has got the Divine Intervention available. Idris going to get the kill before he can even channel it. So much damage on this Crystal Idris. He's already got two items, nearly got the full Broken Myth. Aeon taking a lot of target shots, and he's going to die for it. That was just ridiculously over-aggressive from the Idris. Aeon is now in the base. Truffy's going to do a little bit of damage onto Xingyi, but he's not going to get any of the jungle because Xingyi's going to take that entire farm rotation away. Hyundai managing to trade his life. The first kill for Eanix onto Idris, and so that's definitely worth it for him. And Aeon just slightly out of position. He shouldn't lose too much, but probably should have been able to pick up Broken Myth by now.
Yeah, but we do see a lot of damage coming up from Aeon though, so that is one thing that we must know. No matter how well you scale as a Reza, we must constantly remember that Idris is a thing and is a force to be reckoned with. Changes were made to the Crystal, the weapon power ratios, but not to Crystal. And Crystal in the last patch, we've seen it in the other regions as well. And Crystal Power Idris in the other regions have seen a rise in terms of the meta standings because of how strong he is and how much damage the Chakrams can put out. And that is really just part of the kit. It's really different in sense where, the weapon Idris, when you really just want to be up front, personal, go in, the Shimmer strike in, whereas for Crystal Idris, you just want to hit from the backlines, and Aeon is just doing so well on this Crystal Idris. And although Trophies at this point in time, we are seeing a little more damage coming up from him, but not as much to scare the side of ASN off.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think if you get hit by a Shack from Crystal Idris, you get scared. If you get hit by a Scorcher from Reza, it just tickles. It's not that significant of a thing to start a fight, where it's a double Shack from it. Of course, it makes Cruel able to dive in. And I think that's the main problem with Eanix's comp, is Iron Gudai never has the time to dive in. Whereas Cruel, as soon as it just gets a little bit of poke down, Cruel can go, right, I'm going to dive in, I can probably secure a kill. Whereas Iron Gudai has to be the engager. He has to be the first one to dive in to allow Trophies on this Reza to be able to troublemaker through the enemy, get some damage off, get the fire starter procced, and there's from Hellsart landing onto Glaive. Lovely arcane passage. Glaive is stuck. He can't do anything with the stun and the divine intervention wasn't enough to save him. There's no echo on Rubber Monkey yet, so he hasn't got a second divine intervention. This will be an easy second turret for ASN. With 40 minutes in there, they're only now taking the second turrets. They've been really slow with pushing these turrets, but they've just taken the jungle Crystal Sentry down 3 times. That's now eliminated, and Trophies wants to do what he can. That's the Troublemaker doing a bit of damage to Xingyi. Then again, Trophies is taking a lot more from this Crystal Idris. A couple of basic attacks. One Chakram not quite going to land. Now Aeon is going to be in a bad position. Xingyi just taking away the heal. And now ASN can rotate down through the jungle. There's no sentry for them to contest with. They can just hide in and just wait. Aeon's going to be flared out. And Trophies is still about half health. Aeon is now going to rotate up to lane, work towards that wave. And Xingyi just wants the jungle. That's all he really wants to get. Wants to clear a full jungle rotation away from Eanix. So now Xingyi's going to be on the back line. Hellsart is available. He's going to miss, and he's going to get the stun onto Rough Monkey. That's going to be a dead grace, no question. Xingyi doing really well to land these stuns on Cruel, and that will be the 3rd turret falling. I reckon ASN is going to take a crack in and push to win this game.
Yep, that is the 3rd turret, just launching them into the 10k gold lead for the side of ASN Esports. And this Reza, I was expecting a little more to come out from this pick, and just to prove us wrong that Reza, it's kind of dumb hero. But you know, Eanix didn't. Well, I'm sure he does, and that is why he forsaken his little kid that is just so much stronger than he is. But, you know, honestly, I was expecting a little more coming up from this Reza, and I'm sure you are as well. We are hoping to see what a pro team or a pro player can bring out of this Reza, but quite a disappointing performance so far. But granted, the side of Aeon, or rather the side of ASN Esports, they have got a very strong comp going for them. They have got a sustain coming up from Lyra. The weakness stacks from Cruel, and on top of that as well, they have got Aeon on that Crystal Idris that is putting out so much damage with just one single chakra.
There's going to be the Ice and Silence onto Grace. The Fortress is also used, but they don't need to fight to push turrets. Iron Gudai diving onto Aeon. He has no weapon power defense. Divine Intervention will keep Iron Gudai alive. Aeon's going very low. Glaive's going to pick up the kill, but where is Cruel? He's onto the Vein now. The turret has fallen. ASN with a very sloppy fight. Xingyi's going to fall. Aeon did fall, but doesn't matter. The Kraken is healthy, and they are going to take the second game. Or will they? Yep, Kraken easily going to pick up that Vein Crystal.
That was a good game coming out from the side of ASN Esports, and definitely a good game and a much better draft as well. So this is the second game of this best of 5. What do you think, Mini? Do you think Eanix, by any stretch at all, would be able to take this 3rd game? I mean, in the first game, they seemed rather even all in all, and it was just some dirty plays coming out from ASN Esports that secured the game for them. And it was a lot of mistakes as well from Eanix.
I definitely think Eanix have a chance. They're not. It's not as if they've been snowballed in both games and feel like there's nothing we can do to win this 3rd game. They had the first game under their control. They just weren't. They weren't able to push their advantage to get more than 1 or 2 kills, which meant they had to take risky Krakens. And obviously, with that being stolen away, ASN could turn the game around. So I think Eanix, if they win the draft, they have a chance in the game. Whereas in the second game, they've lost the draft really quite hard. Going to be honest, because Reza's not very good. His best power spike is late game. He built a Storm Crown, which means he's not going to be good late game. And Crystal Idris is so much better than him that I think, yeah, ASN really knew how to counter Reza. and that just made him seem like much a worse hero than he probably is when a pro team gets their hands on him in a good scenario. I think in the right draft, Reza could work, but he's not a B-side second pick.
Yeah, but I guess the side of Eanix really didn't got out drafted. They just drafted into the hands of the Netherworld, indeed. And of course,
it's just not as a first pick carry, not as a second pick on B-side. You don't want to pick him up. So I don't expect Reza in this third draft. I mean, we are now in the third draft between Eanix and ASN. If ASN manages to take the victory in this game, they will be going straight through to the live finals, and Eanix will unfortunately be eliminated.
Yep, so this is possibly the last game between ASN Esports and Eanix. Of course, Eanix now back on the blue side, and ASN Esports on that red side. We do see yet again Eanix is banning out that Lara, removing her from the roster of heroes playable. For the side of ASN Esports, judging from their previous draft, they could just go for the Catherine ban once again. But, for the side of Eanix, not a lot of strong Baron players, so Baron shouldn't be prioritized at this point in time. They should have just settled for that, Catherine ban, and then possibly just pick up whatever. Oh, they are going to go for that Scarf. Ban out.
Okay. For ASN, that's just saying that, okay, we don't care if you go Catherine or if you go Idris or any of those normal bans. They only care that Eanix don't go Scarf. So they banned it away, I think, every game against Eanix, which is a really smart drafting from ASN. Lyra banned, Grace pick. Okay, Eanix will go, we've got ourselves the best healer. We've pretty much got ourselves the only healer, most people would count. But obviously Catherine's open, so that's going to be just ASN happy to pick it up. It's normally banned away. They normally ban it away, to be fair. And it's a great counter to Kestrel if that's picked. And a Cruel ban is great. It leaves Cruel Celeste not open. So ASN are not going for meta bans. They're going for counter bans for what Eanix like to play. I'd expect Kestrel or Celeste to be picked up now by ASN.
Yep, Celeste would be a very good choice at this point in time just because of the amount of CTs that will be available in terms of Core Collapse, Merciless Pursuit, and of course Blast Tremor for the side of ASN Esports. But honestly, they could just settle for that Castro, like you say. They played quite well on that Castro, and yet again, we will be seeing the Castro being picked up for the side of ASN Esports.
Yeah, they're happy to pick it. They know if Celeste is let through, they love to play Kestrel Celeste as a combo. Kestrel and Celeste are the main carries for ASN. They're most comfortable heroes to play. But obviously, they leave themselves free to go for a Crystal Kestrel or Weapon Kestrel. Whereas if they picked Celeste, it would be forced as the jungle. Now, Eanix needs to be careful. They obviously could go. They're going to go for their Comfort Blackfeather. They played Blackfeather Weapon and Crystal before. They also like to play Glaive, as we saw in the last game. So that could be their last pick. Maybe a lane Weapon Glaive Jungle Crystal Blackfeather. But that does them leave them as triple melee. So they may be vulnerable to a Rhyme. Obviously, Crystal Blackfeather isn't that doesn't count as that much melee. So I think that they're likely to put this Blackfeather into lane. Maybe go a Jungle Celeste. It would be quite a good draft from Eanix.
Yep, Jungle Celeste, if not then that Samuel to just try to outkite that of Castro. Samuel, rather relevant pickup. You have a very big ultimate in terms of that Oblivion. They can put an entire team of 3 to sleep if not blocked out, and it's just a way to just be very mobile in the current meta, especially since you have got the Black Feather now. Idris, however, is also still available for pickup, so they can go for the Idris, place him in lane, and of course CP Blackfeather in that of jungle, like you said, may be countered by Rhyme, but being how mobile both of these heroes are, it is highly improbable that the side of ASN Esports will just go for that Rhyme, and they are not quite known to play that Rhyme. Iron Will Die, however, on the side of Eanix, they are quite comfortable on that Rhyme pickup, but I don't think it's likely that they'll pick it up. We will be seeing a drop, reset, same band, same picks throughout. So the last pick, a lot of options open for the side of Eanix right now. They can settle for that Celeste, Black Feather, Idris, and even Samuel.
Yeah, I think it's to do with what do Eanix want to play that Black Feather. Obviously, they could go. They banned it with Batista away, so that's not possible for them. They could go for what they want to. If they want to put Blackfeather as weapon or crystal, and we don't know until they pick their final hero. There aren't that many weapon and crystal flex heroes left, except for Idris. So unless Eanix pick Idris, we're pretty certain we know what Blackfeather's going to be. So ASN could try and counter that. And I think Samuel would be the best choice. Like Samuel or Celeste, because obviously we know Kestrel Celeste is a great combo. They're going to go for the Koshka. Very early aggression. Gopjor could work well here for ASN despite his nerfs. And I think that would be a reasonably smart idea. Again, they could just go Celeste and say, okay, we know you're going to be aggressive, but I'm just going to farm up as best I can. And once we get to 16 minutes, then ASN are going to win. What do you think ASN are going to go for here?
But seeing how Aeon 222 is so comfortable on that Idris, I'm not surprised if they are going to put this Castro in that of Jungle and of course Idris, Aeon on Idris to be in lane. But we are going to see a Rhyme as you expected coming out from the side of ASN Esports going up against triple melee. Rhyme. A very niche pick.
I like it.
Does very well against melee comps, don't get me wrong whatsoever. And of course, with Aeon 222 on that weapon Castro, a lot of damage and of course a lot of zoning potential as well. Quite an amount of CCs coming out from the side of ASN Esports, but however, on the side of Eanix, they do have got a Black Feather, which more than usual, more than not, rather, Trophies on the Black Feather likes to go for that Poison Shift into that of a Serpent's Mask. A lot of sustain, ultimately closing that 3 weapon pickups with that of Tension Bow. So I guess the Black Feather can sustain and of course reduce the amount of fortified health that the Rhyme can receive with those Witness Fires and those crystal pokes that he does. But at the end of the day, it is just down to execution. And to be honest, the side of ASN Esports looks like they have got a stronger and of course a much easier to execute team comp because of how badly Koshka falls off in the late game.
Yeah, I think Rhyme is a really smart decision because he can be known for being very aggressive early in the early game, very good at invading into the enemy jungle. Whereas Rhyme's obviously not going to do that against Koshka, but he's now really good at just farming up his own jungle. Really quick clear speed, one of the quickest in the game Rhyme's got, and so he can get his jungle quicker than Koshka can at level 1. And so I think Rhyme will definitely be able to stop Koshka being aggressive. And so if Rhyme does that, Koshka, as you said, will fall off really hard, will be pretty much worthless in the late game. And then Blackfeather's got to try and pretty much 1v2 against this Kestrel and Rhyme, who will still be quite important in the late game.
Yep, and once again, we do see, though, the side of Eanix not doing very well in terms of drafting. Open up their team comps to very vulnerable, being very vulnerable to that of Ozo, Rhyme, Idris, even Glaive counters the team comp pretty well. So, you know, the side of ASN Esports had got a lot of options open up for them, and they settled for the Rhyme, which you said you really like. And it's just down to the scaling as well for those crystal carries being placed in the jungle. Koshka just does so bad, and in the late game, she just becomes a stunning machine. But, you know, at this level of gameplay, your Catnip Frenzy is just so easy to block up. You can use it to burn your reflex blocks, but honestly, the side of ASN Esports have got nothing else to block up against except for Holy Nova, which they can just easily walk out of because there is no slow during the channel time, firstly, and they can just reserve that block for Koshka's ultimate.
Here we are now into the Halcyon Fold for this third and possibly final game. Iron obviously going to start very defensive on Koshka. You cannot invade until you're level 2. And Shingy going to do the same because there's really no need to let yourself get caught out. Aeon just has to farm up. So does Shingy. All 3 members have gone for a light shield. Just ASN really want to make sure Koshka does not invade and snowball them. So they've just gone for early defense against that. Very smart. And I think it's going to go very well for ASN if they just don't let Koshka start the snowball.
Yep, and weapon Castro, one thing we haven't quite seen a lot of it. We've seen a lot of Crystal Castro coming out so far. But weapon Castro, the amount of pressure she can put out in lane is also immense, especially going up against the Black Feather that has to farm in melee range. Granted, of course, your on point gives you the health barrier to help you sustain up against the Castro. On top of that, you have got that Book of Eulogies as well. So that is one thing that we can consider, especially that Black Feather into the Castro matchup. And of course, if Castro, like said, Aeon at this point in time using a lot of those glimmer shots, but Trophies still at full health, full energy because of the amount of sustain from Book of Eulogies, and on top of that, that Iron Guard contract as well. Iron Guard in the jungle of Chingy.
Yeah, trying to steal some camps away. I think Shingy actually definitely got one of the backs, but he actually got both of them. So Koshka unable to secure any farm, which she'll be slightly disappointed about. Yeah, Shingy let the Elder Drink go, didn't even try and contest it, didn't try and fight it. But that was obviously really good for Koshka to get that gold. But I don't think Shingy might even try and get the mid-trait now, because he knows that Koshka had to back off, because he saw Koshka at his backs and then Koshka wasn't there. So this leaves Shingy able to try and steal some farm away. He is 2v1 in the jungle, so they are going to try and invade this Koshka. Shingy is in the bush, going to get the root. Chill Wins is available, but he just doesn't use it. Angudai's too quick. Trying to steal some farm, and now Shingy going to port home. Going to leave Koshka to get that Elder Treant, and not going to try anything. Going to be a stun in lane, but I think that's just his stacks. Yeah, capturing the guard stacks. Angudai was spotted by a scout trap. He is still going to the jungle, and Shingy did port home. Who's going to get it? Koshka is level 4. Going to do 20 left. Going to get one of the minions. Probably be able to secure the second one. Yep, 2 farm. For Angudai, Shingy going to boost in. Angudai going to boost away, but the boot will still land for Chill Wins and the stun. That may be a kill for Shingy. Good speed boost for Koshka. Tezubo going one way, Shingy going the other way. Shingy didn't try to the damage. Angudai with the bait. He's running for so long, so far. This is just so troll for Koshka. Tezubo with the stun. Will he be able to do it? Yes, he will. First blood to the Catherine, but Koshka got 2 back, so the gold is pretty even.
Yeah, I mean, more usual than not, you should see Grace as picking up the first blood because of how Grace likes to play that very aggressive roam in that of early game. But of course, very good players coming up from Tazaboy. Granted, Chingy has got all of the backs of Chingy, but at the end of it all, it kind of pays off because it evens out at the end of the day. Although the first blood could have just went for Chingy, but Chingy was just way too slow in this early game, especially up against this Koshka.
Yeah, Shingy managing to get the Elder Treant and the fronts away from Koshka. Angudai still is ahead. The backs are up for both people. Tuffy's good rotation. Tezuboy port out. Shingy going to do what he can. Good double root with the Chill Wins. Tezuboy is going to run. Tuffy's picking up the kill. 1 on point, and now Aeon is caught out. He cannot go invisible. Hasn't got enough weapon power. Aeon going very low. Angudai going to be boots away and be okay. Now there's going to be Aeon trying to get as much farm as he can under this turret. He's going to do quite well at clearing it, and now that is Tezubo with the fountain. Rub Monkey hasn't got one and can't actually afford it yet, so Eanix aren't in a good position to fight as a 3-man team.
Yep, they are in a good position indeed. But with how fast Koshka is in that early game, I don't think the side of ASN Esports will be looking to fight whatsoever. Not until Chingy gets 1 or 2, or just be very close to the tier 3 items. And on top of that as well, get an upgrade in that boot. But we do see Chingy though rotating up the lane.
Aeon's going to be in trouble. Good bounce, 150 on a couple of those ticks. Means Aeon was very low, but Tezuboy found the perfect time to keep him healthy. Truffy's with a good engage, and Angudai's level 6. Reflex block is not on Aeon. He can't afford it yet. He has to sell a potion if he wants to get a slot for that. And Shingy also has no slots for a block, so Yummy Frenzy would get a pretty easy kill at this point if Koshka rotates up the lane. And Aeon knows that. He knows Koshka's probably level 6, but he is level 5. And Angudai is going to be there. There's Yummy Frenzy. Going to be at the turret, and there's going to be a stun and an actual camera trap. It will pop. Aeon can do quite a lot of damage, but he will fall. Actually, he got the kill to Koshka first, and then Blackfeather manages to pick up the kill onto Aeon. A good rotation from Aeon. He knew that the Yummy Frenzy was there, so he just put an active camera trap down and got under turret. So then, once Tezuboy landed the stun, Koshka was stuck inside the active camera trap. Easy stun for Kestrel. Koshka under turret, take a couple of turret shots, and they traded 1 for 1. Not just giving away 1 kill, as you would expect when Koshka comes with that Yummy Frenzy in lane.
Yep, but there is one thing bad for Rhyme, at least, is the slow movement speed in that of early game. But while saying
Truffy is going to get rooted by the Chill Wins. Valkyrie's not going to get a stun. Buff Monkey's just going to be slowed up for a little bit. Angry You Die up in lane. Still no block for Aeon. The Yummy Frenzy in 15 seconds. Now ASN, they are even on gold. They'll be very happy with that. And they're just going to try and push this wave as best they can. Blackfeather being dead. Angry taking a lot of poke to this Kestrel. Rhyme is on top of her, but she's going to be able to get away before Chill Wins manages to root her up. And now Aeon's going to try and push this wave. A couple of demo shots unleashed onto the turret. Shingy doing a lot of damage as well, but Truffy's is back in lane, so there will not be any more engage. ASN going to back off.
Yep, they will back off indeed. And honestly, Chingy, although I've been going on and on about how slow Rhyme is in that of the early game, but he is putting up some pressure in that of lane as well. And it's quite unlike I mean, from his gameplay wise, he will definitely do it, but it's quite unlike that of Ryan because of how slow you are, and you are kind of restricted by your movement speed at the end of the day as compared to Koshka at least. But I'm not putting out the pressure that Koshka needs to in that early game. And we did see in yesterday's game that, you know, if a Koshka falls out, and no matter how good of a carry you have placed in lane, in yesterday's games at least we did see the Baron being placed in lane, but it can still be capitalized on, because if you do not use your early game prowess as a Koshka, then you fall out so bad. No matter how good your carry is, they can just take advantage of that, especially since Chingy and that of Aeon 222 just scale so very well.
Truffy's going to get caught out. There's a Holy Nova double stun. Shingy is now not in a good position. Jumping at the first is blocked. Vainglory getting a 3-man slow. Truffy's goes defensive to try and get a kill. Shingy has got 5 stacks. Blackfeather could try and go for that fatal part. I don't think it would quite do enough execute damage. Aeon's rotating up. He has got himself a reflex block, but Yumket Frenzy is on cooldown. So this boy just going to go in for a little bit of poke. And now Angudai is up in lane. He's quite low, but Aeon is unleashing glimmer shots. Angudai is going to go in. One more basic attack would kill him, but there's the Divine Intervention. Nice heal up, back to about 1/3 health. And now Angudai going to rotate to his jungle. Tesla Boy can afford a Crucible when he shops, which is extremely good for him. Shingy wants to go in onto Blackfeather. Nice little bit of poke. Angudai rotating up the Yumket Frenzy in 22 seconds. So there won't be a fight from Eanix. Tesla Boy going to get that Crucible. So will Aeon actually brought home. So this could be time for Eanix to push the wave. They are going to do it. They're going to try and get this turret. And I think Shingy needs to rotate up the lane, or else there will be a lot of damage falling onto this turret. And Eanix is going to push it. They do know about it now. There's Tesla Boy. He's got the Blast Tremor. And they're going to get the first turret. Will Eanix make a mistake? Will they be out of position? Rose defensive and boots. And ASN unable to defend the turret, unable to get a kill. Now they have to try and push their own turret. But ASN going to be slightly disappointed to let that go. Eanix not pressuring the early game that well at the moment.
Well, not well indeed, but even in 9 minutes they scored the first turret, but then now we will be looking at a fight.
And that's Angudai, lovely stun by the active camo. Aeon with the 1v1 on Koshka, easy kill. And yeah, Koshka tried to dive in, but Aeon got a lovely stun mid-pouncy bun to pick up that kill. Tesla Boy still with the Blast Tremor, still available to try and get a silence. Duffy's is going to take a bit of hope. There's the Blast Tremor, this is going to go straight to the turret. Shingy doing a bit of damage, but they are going to pick up a 1-for-1 turret trade. And ASN now 5k gold ahead. This is pretty disastrous for Eanix.
5k, I think it's 500 gold ahead.
500 gold ahead, that's much better for, much more like it.
For the side of ASN, in favor for ASN. When you said 5k, I was just looking at the score, but I'm like, is my game lagging or what?
Can I not do maths properly? No, it's definitely 500. It was 500. Now it's almost dead even between the two scenes. But yeah, 5k gold would be a lot more at this point of the game.
Yeah, but honestly though, Chingy is just putting in a lot of work, although it's not quite shown in that KDA of his. He's sitting at 0-0 and 1, but
Shingy's
however...
going to be in trouble. Yep, that's going to be the Vainglory and a lovely shield win. Shingy doing so much work. Pretty much 1v3 now. The rest of the team's rotating down. Aeon solo. Angudai with a lovely dive. Now Aeon has no glimmer shots. Wait for them, Aeon. Wait. One shot does not quite connect. I think that's Goldmine. Now Tesla Boy going to take a little bit of poke. There's an active camo trap. They know about it, and now Apex is going to go for the turret. Go for the Goldmine, sorry. It may be stolen. Tesla Boy. They're going for it. All 3 members of ASN are going to try and steal this Goldmine away. Eanix know about it. They know where they are. One shot isn't available. Glimmer shots are. Truffy's going to dive onto Aeon. Aeon taking a bit of poke. Truffy's taking even more damage. One base attack. Blast Tremor, not quite enough. And the Goldmine will be secured by Rhyme. They steal it away. He gets a double kill. ASN have stolen every single objective from Eanix that can be stolen, I think, so far. And Eanix just going to be so distraught. They got the fight win. They were ahead. Then Shingy came in with a Goldmine and a double kill with that shit. What was it? Winter Spire from Rhyme. When everyone tries to secure the Goldmine, he managed to pick it up.
That is just so sad for Eanix. 3 Kraken steals, not enough. ASN just went in for the Goldmine just to sprinkle salt on those wounds of ASN East. Eanix at least, and this will just plunge the side of ASN Esports just further and way ahead of that of Eanix. I mean, not in terms of gold, but of course, morality is one thing as well, of how well you are in your mental state of mind going up against ASN Esports. Now they can have a new name, you know, for themselves, and that's just basically, I mean, not even heartbreakers, yeah? They are just thing stealers. I mean, honestly, if you think about it, a lot of times, ASN Esports, they can be in a back feet. And we did see earlier on as well, the side of Eanix really pushed ASN Esports till they could not continue to fight and had to force, and was forced to back off.
Waiting in the bush, they'll be caught out, because we're still going to go do a bit of damage. Anguidi's diving in onto Aeon. Falcon going to slow him up. Aeon is very low, but he's going to be healed up by the Fountain, and that will be a dead Koshka. Lovely play by Aeon. What a kite back. The Fountain saved his life. Starting to get Koshka out. Now Truffy's in a bad position. That's a 2-man. Holy Nova Monkey will die for it, though. Now Aeon with the double. He wants to work towards that triple. Truffy is going to be able to back off, and Aeon wants to sneak past the gold mine and not get aggroed by it. He will be okay.
Yep, he will.
Good fight for ASN.
Good fight indeed, and a very good turnaround, in fact, for the side of ASN Esports. Now though, Truffy's looking like he might be in some kind of trouble. Ooh, that damage on those Winter Spires. But Vainglory will be back in lane right now, so the side of ASN Esports may just look to back off.
Yeah, Vainglory is back. Yummy Frenzy is available. There's obviously a Crucible, which is now respawned. Fountain's in about 10 seconds, so ASN ready to fight. They want to. Yeah, what happened in that fight? Why was ASN able to turn it around, not sure?
But honestly, in that particular fight itself, it was just Aeon, as you said earlier, just fantastic kiting coming up from Aeon. And of course, I must say, the very good placement of that Valkyrie as well, that kind of slowed Truffy's on that, Vainglory on that Koshka, that kind of changed the tide of the fight. And Aeon, with the amount of weapon power he has, could in time put down that active camo trap, and the Valkyrie slowed down Vainglory. Aeon kite backwards, shot a basic attack, and boom, Vainglory got stunned, and that is how ASN Esports really got ahead once again.
There's going to be a bit of damage onto Aeon, but much more damage onto Vainglory. As soon as he tries to dive in on this Koshka, just so much damage from Kestrel, and there's a big wave to clear, so Aeon's going to focus on that, then work towards possibly a gold mine, but probably just wanting to fight. I think ASN aren't going to let their gold mine be stolen away. They're going to kill you before you can even try and steal it. Aeon with 3 damage items, so have they Breaking Point and Tyrants. Very interesting build. We don't see Breaking Point that much. Now Vainglory going to try and press it in, but he's going to get Glimmer Shots to the face. One more basic, not quite going to be enough, because he gets the heal and the Fountain and Divine Intervention. But Monkey wants to seal it, and he will get it. Everything has been stolen today. He's going to die for it, but oh well. They stole a gold mine from me, I'll steal a gold mine from them. I think ASN should have definitely gone for the kill. They shouldn't have just secured the gold mine. They are now going to get a Crystal Sentry off of that, but I'm sure they would have launched the gold mine as well. Those defensive block that Mercy's Pursuit. The minion wasn't stolen away, so not absolutely everything's been stolen, but pretty much.
So the moral of the story, going up against, especially for both of these teams, is that do not start any form of objective that can be stolen away.
Never start a neutral objective. Start turrets, that's fine, but don't ever start a neutral objective.
Yeah, because it will be stolen away by the other team. But of course, we haven't quite seen the side of Eanix take away any Kraken yet from ASN Esports. So that is one good thing from them, or I might just jinx it, and ASN Esports may start that Kraken and just be stolen away by that of Eanix. But then again, ASN Esports, they did very well in that early game, where they saw that Eanix wanted to come in for the steal. They just got Glaive very low. In the previous game, at least, got Glaive very low. Glaive was forced to back off, but now they might be looking for a team fight.
We're going to go in a block on the chill wins, trying to put the anti-combat down. That is a good Crucible for the Blast Drummer. Echo was used. There's the second one. There's the boy Blast Drummer, fantastic onto Koshka. She can't do that much work. Going to die to Aeon. That was so well played by ASN. What can Eanix do? There's not that much. ASN with a fantastically coordinated team fight. Wow.
Very coordinated indeed, very well orchestrated, that particular team fight, and very good use of Echo as well. A lot of times when we do see an Echo being built up for the side, for Catherine, what she'll do is blast Tremor, echo, and immediately blast Tremor after. But Tezabor and this Catherine decided that it was a better idea to just hold that silence for a little more, and it paid off for them at the end of it all. And it's just really good for the side of ASN Esports now that they won that fight. Did not score the A's, but they do not need it to secure that Kraken, and now they will start pushing into the base of ASN Esports.
Well, Monkey, early Crucible, Tezzabor's 3, last time in 5 seconds, good Atlas. Actually on Koshka, not on Scruffy, but Monkey. It will fall to Kestrel. There's 9 breaking point stacks, up to 10. Aeon gonna get not quite 1. He wants to get Koshka. Easy pickup, double kill for Kestrel. That's an ace for ASN, and they're probably just gonna win from this Kraken push.
Yep, they can definitely clear and of course take this game with this Kraken push. They don't even need that Kraken with minions just pushing in, and they are just going in for that turret, for that second turret, and ultimately the Vayne. What can Eanix do? Absolutely nothing. Granted, they did steal a gold mine, but that is just not enough yet to put you back into this best of 5 and win you this game to push it into the best of 4, or rather into the 4th game. So of course, congratulations, a big one to ASN Esports making into the Live Championships.
Yeah, ASN with a dominant 3-0 victory. I think after the slightly shaky first game, they just came through and showed themselves to be the better team today. Again, that last team fight and the one before it, Catherine was atlasing anyone, even getting Koshka is kind of worth it with an Atlas. Blast Tremors were on point, and Aeon showed why he is a fantastic Kestrel, managing to just basic attack whoever got within range and not die. Didn't have that much defense, only with an Aegis, but able to kite back, survive on a slither of health, and turn the fights around spectacularly. And so I think, yeah, ASN, they really know how to play as a team, and they're going to be a real menace to try and come up against in this live finals. What do you think about those plays, Luxuria?
Very well done coming up from the side of ASN Esports. Not a traditional pickup, that rhyme at least on Chingy, but played absolutely astounding on that rhyme at least. Although it doesn't quite show in that KDA in that early games, he was sitting at 0-0-1 for a very long time then. But at the end of it all, it just kind of paid out for them, because Chingy decided to go for the sustained rhyme build instead of the bursty rhyme build that we saw and we usually would see. He did go for the Eve of Harvest, his first item, followed by some defenses, and then into the Broken Myth just to build up that damage and of course sustain over time with both of these items. But I must say, it was down to a lot of teamwork and of course the macro plays, the micro plays coming out from the side of ASN that ultimately won them this best of 5. Aeon as well, very commendable plays coming up from him on this weapon Castro. Definitely the carry to be reckoned with.
It was also a fantastic draft from ASN. I think in the first game, letting Cruel and Celeste through was a slight mistake, but again, after that game, they just came back, drafted superbly well in the second and third game. And yeah, I'm really thinking ASN are going to be one of those teams to beat in the live finals, but we're now going to head